Welcome to Stab Comedy Theater. It's time for sad songs, etc. Please welcome to the stage first special guest of the evening, Maddie Nashimi.
I had to fix that. All right. I'm Maddie. Are you guys ready for a show? Yeah? Everybody excited? Everybody having a good night? All right. I'll tell jokes. I just started a new semester at college. It's a lot of fun. But on my first day of class, my professor was telling us all of these reasons that we should go to college. And one of the things he said was that people with degrees live longer. So I left class and dropped out immediately. Before I dropped out, I was walking onto campus and people were handing out these little paper bags of things. And I was like, sick, food. So I took one. And then I got to class and I opened it up and it was just a bunch of condoms. And I have never been more disappointed at the prospect of sex. Yeah, like I thought I was about to get an edible that was just gonna truly fuck me up. And instead I got safe sex. I think my phone's been listening to me while I tell that joke because all of the advertisements that have been getting pushed to me are like various forms of birth control. Yeah, I get condoms, I get Plan B, I get the implant, all of them. Yeah, the internet is just constantly telling me, you should not be a mother. Yeah. And I agree, I shouldn't be. I do think it's a little fucked up that the internet thinks so too, though. You know? They've also been pushing BetterHelp at me, which is like an online counseling service. So, you know, they are bullying me, but at least they want me to get better. Yeah. You know, they're a friend. They're mean to you, but they do want to help. I'm not having a lot of sex, though. Don't have to worry about getting pregnant because, you know, just not dating. But it's okay because my policy on sex is the same as my policy on being killed, you know? If nobody will do it for me, I'll just do it myself. I'm very brave. I told that joke with my parents in the audience. All right, next. All right. I spend a lot of time on Twitter because I'm from Gen Z. And I saw a Twitter thread the other day that was called How to Catch His Eye. And I love reading things written by dumb 14-year-olds. So obviously I had to open it, and it said a lot of dumb 14-year-old things, like play with your hair and bite your lip, things that would catch no one's eye. And then it said, stand on your tiptoes. It said tiptoes, not just toes, as if you're trying to get something out of reach. And I thought, that's stupid, because it is. But then I thought, you know, they're actually right. If I went into a Starbucks and the entire time I waited for my drink, I stood on my toes, I would catch a lot of people's eyes, right? They'd be like, what is she doing? Why is she standing like that? Is there something on the floor? Is there something wrong with her? What is it? And so I was inspired by this 14-year-old, and I came up with my own list of ways that you can catch men's or women's eyes. I'm going to share that list with you now. Number 1 is wear a clown, making a fool of yourself, so you may as well lean into it. Number 2 is when you're walking through narrow hallways, hold your arms away from your body. Yeah, this is also a good way to establish physical contact. Yeah, and then number 3 is whenever you walk into any room, play entrance music from your phone. I have some song suggestions for this one as well, which are Under the Sea from The Little Mermaid and The Sound of Silence by Simon and Garfunkel. Yeah. If you go with Under the Sea, people are going to be so completely confused with you to the point where at least 2 of your coworkers will have conspiracy theories on why Under the Sea is your entrance music. And if one of them is brave enough to ask you about it, you can use that opportunity to ask them out. Yeah. And then if you go with The Sound of Silence, people are going to think that this is your strange cry for help, which it is. So if one of them comes and they're like, hey, are you okay? You'll know they're a keeper. They care about you. Got you with that one. I'm back on Facebook after several years of not being on Facebook because Facebook is good for two things: networking and finding out who's racist. I'm there to find out who's racist. But although I haven't been on Facebook, my parents have been, and they've posted all of these truly horrible photos of me. Photos of me from 6th grade, photos of me when I had straight across bangs, just awful ones. And the worst photo, though, is one where I'm in the process of dyeing my hair. When I was younger, I used to dye my hair fun colors like blue and purple because I was depressed. But had I known that my parents were posting pictures of me where half my hair was covered in tinfoil and the other half was covered in purple goo and I was bent over a sink, I would have tried harder when I tried to kill myself. All right. I'll do 2 more, okay. So, yeah, I can do whatever I want. Yeah? So I like to play games with no winners, and one of the games I like to play is called Mistress or Daughter. Yeah. The way the game works is you find a couple in public and you go, oh, is that woman his mistress or his daughter? Like these two. Daughter, obviously. All right. Here's my last one. So I used to have smaller boobs, which is a big surprise to you, I'm sure. And when I did, I was like, this is not that great. And then I went up 3 cup sizes in the winter of when I was 17, and I was like, this is awesome. This is so fucking sick. And then it got to be summer, and I was like, so these are just extra armpits. Thank you very much. I've been Maddie Nishimi. And I want you all to keep it going for your next comic. She's very funny. Welcome, Skip Bacon.
God, that lady's hilarious. Give it up one more time for Maddie. That lady's very funny. Oh, hello, everybody. My name is Skip Bacon, and I am what you would loosely term a Catholic theologian. Oh, I've never gotten that before. Somebody over here just went, For everyone except for her, I'll tell you what that means. What that means is that I endured 7 years of theological training, preparing me to think and talk about God and church stuff professionally as a type of church minister. And the very first thing I will tell you about that is that no matter how long I pause after telling everyone that, no one ever claps for that. Like I could get up here and be like, hey guys, what's up? This week I adopted a puppy. People clap for that fake puppy all the time. Anyone could adopt a puppy, anyone. But I get up here and I tell you guys, I managed to do something that no man has ever done. I survived 7 years of Catholic higher education, unmolested, and no one ever claps? No one ever claps. No. Those are pity claps. They don't pay student loans. But it's I don't know why. I don't know why I think that like a room full of strangers is immediately going to get on board with this, because my own mom was like super not on board when I told her about it. But mom's a SoCal stoner hippie. She's got like a real screw the establishment attitude. So when I told her that I was going into church work, what she heard was I was going to become a militant lesbian nun. That is, I was 12. That's not what I said, but that's what she assumed. So her very first response to me was, you know, if God had wanted you to become a nun, he wouldn't have given you such fabulous tits. Have you ever seen a nun with tits like that? As she gestured at my 12-year-old body, sporting what was admittedly a really nice set of double Ds on a preteen, but according to my mom, only women with small, humble breasts were called by God, and I literally did not fit that mold, according to my mom. Also, side note, I spent a good portion of my childhood obsessing over the blessed bosoms of Benedictine nuns. It's like all I thought about. Like, I've never seen a nun's face. I would just see a nun, and I would just be like, oh, yeah? That's what God's into, huh? Nice. All right, cool. So, it was awful. It was awful, and it was due to this obsession and my mom's strong insistence that I was what she called too gifted in the flesh. That's what I was. Too gifted in the flesh to go into church work. That I spent a lot of time in my dad's church because they don't have nuns in my dad's church, so I wasn't constantly contemplating the correlation between my cup size and a calling from God. So I spent a lot of time in his church, and I was actually ordained a minister in my dad's church, which no one claps for that either. It's cool, whatever. And once I was ordained, my little brother asked me to preside at his wedding, which I felt really honored to do for him. Yeah, you could clap for that too. No, it's fine. This is why I do comedy, folks. I need the claps. But that's when my dad, I don't know, his support, moreover, maybe entertainment with my ministry choices comes into play, because it was like my dad had been waiting his entire life for this moment. He sent out a mass email to everyone we have ever known. Like, my preschool teacher, Mrs. B, got this email, and I know she got this email because she called me with a lot of questions afterwards. And the email, it was pure clickbait. There was no content, just a subject line that read, "Proud father, daughter marries son." So every time I see parents laugh, I'm like, you're sickos. I'm never gonna tell my dad that any of you laughed at this. The only correct response is whore. So my dad's super supportive of my work in ministry, but I'm not totally embracing that support yet because it really creeps me out. Not like childhood nun breast obsessed creepy, but it really bothers me. But I like my work in ministry, though. I really do like my work in ministry. Oh, that one goes straight to you. We'll just take as many applause breaks as you guys need. Like, help yourselves. It can be a weird job, though, because there's two things that people ask you about all the time. One is super obvious, super obvious. People want to talk about their faith lives. But second, and super less obviously, people want to talk about their sex lives. And if there is one thing the church is woefully unqualified to talk about, nay, give advice about, it is sexuality. And you want to know how I know they're unqualified, guys? Because they cannot even handle Christ's nipples. Okay, stick with me on this. Stick with me on this. She has the best face ever for this. Every time she's like, Christ's nipples. 80%, upwards of 80% of crucifixes, you know the little crosses with the little lifeless corpse of Jesus hanging from it, right? 80% of those Jesuses do not have nipples. Okay? I can see you all thinking, you're all picturing the last time you saw Jesus, okay? What does he always have, though? He's always got abs, even if they're painted on. He's always got the little painted on abs. What do his legs look like? Just awesome. His quads are amazing. He's super ripped. And no nipples. He has no nipple. And people always try to make a hard case for this. They're like, oh, yeah, Skip. But, like, back in the day, that's how everyone who makes an argument against me sounds. Oh, yeah, Skip. Back in the day, they had really good diets, though. So he would have had, like, good abs. And I'm like, okay, I'm with you, kind of. And they're like, yeah, and they walked everywhere, so they would have had, like, their legs would have been really ripped, just like that. I'm like, yeah, did the sands of the desert wipe his nipples off? Because he also would have had nipples, is what I'm saying. And all I'm saying is that you find the nipples of a recently murdered Jewish man to be so over-sexualized that you have removed them from crucifixes, then you don't get to give me sex advice. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. But as a theologian and a lady, I have taken it upon myself to try and fix this gap, bridge this gap. So what we're going to need to do is start a new line of work. We're going to call ourselves Christian sex workers. Now, put your phones down. Don't send me your LinkedIn profiles yet, okay? Here are some of the job descriptions for some of the things you can possibly apply for after the show. Okay, so as a Christian sex worker, the very first thing that we're going to do is we are going to start an art restoration company solely for the purpose of restoring all the nipples to the nippleless Christ. So if anyone with art background, all you art history majors who thought you were totally unemployable, you're not. So that's what we're going to look into first. The second thing we're going to do is we're going to start hosting communion wafer wine pairing parties, okay? We have to answer the question, should the blood of Christ have like a strong Merlot taste or more of a Zinfandel kind of feel to it, okay? So that's one of the things. We'll definitely, in case you're thinking, we're definitely going to sit around saying things like, oh my God, what year is this blood of Christ? It's got like a 36 AD aftertaste, but a robust pre-crucifixion aroma. So we're definitely going to say things like that. And then the very last thing we're going to do is we are going to start producing a series of self-help tapes for Christian husbands entitled It Is Better to Give Than to Receive, the Art of Self-Giving Oral Love. I think as Christian sex workers, so you can come see me after the show, and I will help you guys get your resumes in, kind of find the right spot for you. In the meantime, though, I'm going to bring up your next performer for the evening. You guys ready? You ready? Give it up for Christian Ungerall, please. This is just where it is. That's how high it is.
Yes.
There you go.
One more time for Skip Bacon, everybody. Yes. I love it. This is those tits. What I meant Christ. You guys, I like this. This feels a lot like church. This feels, and I think that's perfect because I sort of come across as either like a gay youth pastor or a regular youth pastor. So let's get it started. I do have a religious coworker, and sometimes she says things that creep me out. I will let you guess which religion at the end of the joke. Today she told me, she said her only goal in life is to have kids by the time she's 25. Ew, yeah. Kids plural. And which I thought was interesting. I thought that was kind of funny because my girlfriend and I, we've had this conversation. We've talked about it. Our only goal in life is to not be friends with my coworker. That's our only goal. We just want to make it to 25 without locking ourselves down in that friendship. It was Buddhism. Did you guess? It was. Who'd have thought? Who'd have thought? I think it's because we're like, we're not real adults yet. I think like we're scared to have kids because like I can't even feed myself. I'm still learning. Like my only meal today was a Costco sample. You know what I'm saying? Like, and by the way, it is 2020. If you do not have a Costco membership, let me be the first to tell you are making a huge mistake. It is $60 for the year. I don't think you're hearing me. It is $60 for unlimited free food in very small quantities for a year? Are you kidding me? I had $60 worth of Italian meatballs today. Do you understand? It's a lifestyle. I'm very unhealthy. I think my favorite part about Costco samples is watching people act like they've never had chips and salsa before. Just like it is an Oscar-winning performance every goddamn time. It is because here's a tip. Here's an insider tip. The Costco sample lady doesn't work on commission. They don't care if you buy the thing afterwards. You don't have to ask what aisle it's on. In fact, and I've tried this, you can do this too. Next time you go to Costco, you can literally walk up to the sample lady. You can grab the entire tray and say, "Fuck you," as you walk away. And they will renew your membership for an entire year. That's a fact. I like you guys. This feels very safe. Do you mind if I open up? I'm gonna get personal with you. I'm gonna talk about some real shit. I'm a queer man. I like both. Ooh, and air got sucked out of the room. Whoo! And it's the first time I've told this joke in front of my very supportive family. Give it up for them. Yeah, we love them. It's true. You see, and you would think, here's the caveat to that. I am in a straight relationship, so you can't beat me up after the show. That's the rules. It's 2020. You would think that being bisexual would make it easier today, right? You would think that like you have more options to choose from. Not the case. Way harder, way more difficult because there's a lot of myths. There's a lot of false narratives about bisexual men, and I'd like to set the record straight, no pun intended, tonight, if that's okay. It is. That is. I'll add that as a tag. So here's the thing. We need to stop with this ridiculous idea, and I don't know who started it, but people keep saying it. It is not true. This idea that bisexual men are, somehow just gay men who shop at Kohl's. It's hurtful, and quite frankly, it's not true. It needs to stop. It's true. No, I really, there is this idea that like bisexual men don't really exist. Like it's either one or the other. And I know this because of a real conversation that happened when I met my girlfriend's family after I walked away. It was her mom and her very sweet gay brother. After I left, they turned to each other, and her brother said to her mom, "You know Sydney's dating a gay man, right?" And her mom turned to her brother and said, "Well, yes, but he's a gay man who loves your sister very much." Never in my life have I been so accurately described in one sentence. I am a gay man who loves his girlfriend very much, and I'm proud to say it. Thank you so much. You can applause break for that, too. Heteronormativity. We love it. I am trying to be a better person, because I'm not perfect. I'm trying to use more inclusive language. I think it's important. I'm trying to be more open with my vocabulary, trying to be more gender neutral, and it's a process, right? But I make choices every day. Like the other night, I was in the bedroom, not to get too explicit with you guys, but I was in the bedroom, and instead of calling my partner a bad girl, I called her a bad person. Just doing my part. Just doing my part. I think regardless of our differences as a society, I think we can all agree on one thing, which is that city of Sacramento, has the worst drivers in the goddamn world. Is that fair to say? I think that's fair. I think that's a statistic. I say that because I was driving to a show much like this one, and I had a guy do this thing. I don't know if this has ever happened to you, where they're driving next to you, and then they speed up and they cut you off, and then they slam on their brakes so you get super close to their bumper. It's horrible. I got so close to this guy's car, I could see all of the billboards to his shitty opinions on the back of his Ford Flex. Ironic name for a car, by the way. And one of them in particular stuck out to me. It just said pro-life in kind of big asshole letters. And it's it's a free country. I think everyone has a right to their opinion. I just found it funny that this guy, was so pro-life, and yet the way he was driving made me want to kill his baby. It's the little things. Thank you, guys. I'm Christian Amaral. Thank you so much. Folks, it is my absolute pleasure to bring up your final act this evening. He is one of my very best friends in comedy. He's also one of the most talented musicians I know. And I'm not just blowing smoke. A lot of people, this is where it's going to stay. Skip, you were right. It doesn't move. This is not just your typical, this guy's a good friend, give it up for him. This is a guy who I have been a fan of since I was a child. I was a fan of his band. We would see them play all around Sacramento. My mom surprised me for my 16th birthday with his band in our living room. It blew my mind. Which I think is really cool, because now, and I knew they were going to be famous, I knew he was going to make it big, and now, 8 years later, I'm opening for him at Stab Comedy Theater on Broadway. Yeah! Absolutely. Absolutely. And safe to say, there were more people at my birthday. So, ladies and gentlemen, please make it nice and loud for Mr. Corey Behringer.
Corner right there, and I'm going to play some sad songs, and I'm going to come over to this part of the stage, and I'm going to tell you some jokes. How does that sound? Does that sound okay? Okay, cool. Sad song number 1. There we go. This is a little ditty about marrying someone who doesn't love you. It's called Dumb Enough. tethers her to the bottomless depths. And she's holding her breath, but she has not dove yet. But it's nearly up to her neck. And when we're together, I know it's because I'm dumb enough to think she loves me. She's sweet enough to say she does. Many songs I've written tell of a love that slowly fades. For her it never came. But if it's all the same, I'll keep her company while she waits. So save the date. 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 When we're together, I know it's because I'm dumb enough to think she loves me. She's sweet enough to say she does. And she is an angel, if ever there was. But I'm dumb enough to think she loves me. She's sweet enough to say she does. Yeah, I'm dumb enough to think she loves me. She's sweet enough to say she does. Thanks. So, unrelated. I'm getting married in a couple months. Thank you. It's a thing you got to do. You got to do the applaud thing. Don't worry, though. We are very much in love. She assures me that it's mutual. And things are going great. It's an exciting time for us. She's keeping her maiden name, or as she likes to call it, her name. Because that's what it is. It has been for literally her entire life. Who am I to change it now? That's my thought on the matter. I think it's a little weird we still even use that term, maiden name. It feels archaic, doesn't it? Like in 2020, what even is a maiden? You know? I don't know about you, but I associate that word with pretty much just one other thing: dragons. Dragons kidnap and devour maidens. It's kind of their thing. So I guess in a certain sense, I do feel some relief knowing that my wife-to-be will probably just confuse every dragon she meets. You know? Like, they'll think she's a maiden, but just before they swoop down, they'll see her wedding ring and be like, pass. I like him young and unwed, and just fly away. It's my impression of a dragon for you. Thank you. It's been an exciting time, but it's also been a very stressful time for me because I realized I got to get my shit together. I need to start eating healthier, taking better care of myself. And I realized she's about to vow to spend the rest of her life with me. I should probably try to stick around for most of it, right? You know? I like to look out into the crowd and the faces of married men look back at me like, no, you don't. No. Because if you got it, then we got it, and we don't want it. So, hard pass, sir. I mean, put that aside, I still need to get it together because I have a horrible relationship with food. I eat mostly garbage. That's kind of my MO. And I hit rock bottom. Let me tell you my rock bottom with this, okay? I was squirting the mustard on my third gas station dog of the day. When out of nowhere, my brain started playing Johnny Cash's Hurt. I was like, this is not good. I hurt myself today to see if I still feel. I feel nothing. I got rid of feelings from room for more hot dog. That's how that worked. hard eating healthy when she accepts me for who I am. Unconditional love is the worst thing for your cholesterol. I do not recommend it at all. It's true, though. She makes me feel good about myself. It's wild, you know. I'm so confident I've begun referring to myself as mama. Yeah, I didn't see that coming either, sir. No, I did not. Especially after a big meal, I'm just like, oh, mama needed that. Yes, she did. Mama needed. And I know as a writer I need to come up with several more examples of that for this bit to work. But you know what? Mama don't feel like it. So she ain't gonna. She ain't gonna. I do realize, though, that there is a cap to how confident I could ever become. You know, there is a limit to this. Like, I know I will never have that brazen confidence of someone who can get something out of their trunk while stopped at a red light. What is that? Have they no shame? I could never do that. It's just not who I am. And whenever I see it happening, I am so judgmental. I'm just white knuckled, like, oh, this better be good. Because I want it to be something important, you know, something that couldn't possibly wait until that very moment. You know, like, I don't know, the steering wheel. He's just sitting there like, wait a minute. I've just been twisting the nub the whole time. That's why it's not moving. It's never something important like that, though, is it? It's always something completely insignificant, like a water bottle or a backpack. Things that do not belong in the trunk. I'll say it. The trunk is where we put stuff to be dealt with once we arrive at our destination. Like groceries or a cop that saw too much. How about another song? This one is perhaps the saddest of the entire bunch. Based solely on the fact that it's a nostalgic song. I find nostalgia to be the most depressing source of, like, just human emotion, really. Because it's just, I mean, it's pathetic on some level. On most levels, really. So this is a song I wrote kind of looking back on the days that I was in a moderately successful local band. Emphasis on the moderate. So this is called Fine Company. This is the kind of jam from the band I used to have. Vaguely southern and sad, heart dwelling on the past. Thinking about old friends in the bands that took us where we are. I put down my guitar, told dick jokes in a bar. Well, they stayed along and played peyote tonk, the gospel of the Hoffmans. And even though we haven't hung in years, I think about 'em often. Easy to reminisce when I miss my former bliss. They paid me to scream at kids for cash and drink tickets. But listen to me, wishing to be back to where we start. I'll pick up my guitar, play 3 chords in a bar, and I'll take the straight line if you wanna sing harmony. Those old notes never worked for me. 90s kid. Are there any 90s kids here tonight? Yeah. Our parents had sex around the same time. That's pretty cool. Maybe you guys can relate to this as a 90s kid. Sometimes to feel closer to my 90s roots, I will tie a long sleeve flannel around my waist. It makes a bold fashion statement, right? And that statement is, fuck you, Dad. Yeah, I earned these trophies. I participated. That's how you get them. How do you think I got them? That's how you get them. I've been thinking a lot lately about biker gangs, because a guy needs a hobby. And I think I decided that the cutest thing about biker gangs, of which there are many, has got to be the matching vests. And it's not just because they look adorable. Of course they do. It's the thought that goes into them. It's the time and attention to detail. Those vests are their way of saying, hey, we've been thinking about you, and we'd like you to join our crime club. Isn't that just the sweetest? I love that so much about bikers. It's so cool. Because think about it. You can't just go to the store and buy one of those vests prefab, ready to go. No, someone has to take the time to hand stitch all the tough guy stuff on there. Which means that someone has to stop doing crank for a couple minutes. And if that ain't love, I don't know what is. I do not know. The other day, I was having brunch with a caveman. And I only mention he's a caveman because it's important to the story. I don't want it to sound like I'm bragging up here. You know, like, oh, all your friends are historic? Yeah, mine's pre that. It's not like that. It's not like that. We're just buds. And we were having brunch, and we were just gabbing away about the usual stuff. You know, hunting, gathering, fire. Like, what even is it? We don't know. And then he says to me, you know what's really been bugging me lately? And I said, tell me everything. And he said, people keep asking me if I like to say yabba dabba doo. And here's where I'm not proud to say I showed my prejudice as his friend, because I was like, well, don't you? And he said, no, I do not say yabba dabba doo. None of us say yabba dabba doo. It's not even a caveman thing. It's just a Fred thing. And to be honest, we never really got why he said it either. Fred was different. He got very introspective at that point in the conversation. Hey, this is a song about how I... Did you come here for transitions? Because that's not what I put on the flyer. This is a song about how I stopped believing in God. It's called Bed Knobs. What was funny about that? Because I don't know. It's a reference you don't get yet. Anyway, here we go. You know what? I'll preface this because it might curtail some laughter. This is a song about, more specifically, my experience as a young boy and my, basically a cousin to me and my brothers, Jessica. She died from complications with cancer, and she was probably around 13 or so at the time. I was about 10, and this is about my experience with that. So here we go. I never understood the way my parents used to lie and say, the Lord works in mysterious ways. But who the hell am I to call it all a lie when I know that they were only quoting what they deem a miracle or catastrophe upon the plan our Savior set aside. But I can't believe a deity could make a plan so ill-conceived that kids can die while evil people thrive. We watched a cartoon in her hospital room, and it's what I've chosen to remember instead of her. Frail, yellow, and pale body that was given an expiration date. Nothing like the death of a young one to rattle your blind faith. Someday something or someone will rattle your blind faith. Nothing like the death of a young one to rattle your blind faith. Someday something or someone will rattle your blind faith. I never understood the way my parents used to cry and say, the Lord works in mysterious ways. Thank you. So speaking of mysteries, have you guys ever seen a firefighter that wasn't a hunk? And you just think to yourself, what's the point? Right? They're supposed to be hunks. That's the social contract. And you just kind of want to take them aside and be like, look, sweetie, you do not have to keep risking your life like this. No one is putting you on their calendar. It's not going to happen. There's got to be a better way to get a paycheck is what I'm saying. Got to be a better way. Why can't we be friends? Why can't we be friends? That's a pretty cool song. I'm a fan of that song. I'm a fan of the band War. They put out that hit in 1975, and I have some thoughts about it that I will now share with you. Yeah. That's what I promised. Yeah. Let me tell you my favorite part of Why Can't We Be Friends, okay? It comes to us in the final verse, after the fellows of War have spent the entire song up to that point making a pretty compelling case for friendship. And that's when they decide to accuse you, the listener, of working for the CIA. Now, some people are incredulous when I state that, but I have the evidence to back it up. Okay, so here is the line verbatim, and you can all decide for yourself if maybe I'm reading too much into this one, okay? So here's the line. I know you're working for the CIA. So it's a little on the nose is what I'm getting at. Just a tad on the nose. I saw a bumper sticker the other day that was 5 guns above the words, my family. Tells you a lot about the driver, doesn't it? Right? Led me to assume that that man makes love to a rifle he calls his wifle. I'm no detective, but I deduced that, you know. He also had a no fear sticker on his truck, which, let me tell you, I found very dishonest. Because he's full of fear, you see. He's clear, that's what he lives and thrives upon. He's brimming with fear. As are most with the no fear sticker, I think. I'd like to design my own brand new sticker to be placed beneath the no fear sticker to make the whole situation a lot more honest to onlookers, So instead it would read, no fear, except intimacy. Because these men are not cuddlers, you guys. Not gonna happen. Daddy did not hug the no fear customer. I don't have that problem with intimacy, thankfully. Well, if anything, I have the opposite issue. Is that an applause break? It is now. It is now. Yeah, I don't. But I have the opposite issue, perhaps. I'm a very clingy and needy lover, if you must know. She's pointing at herself. And now she's surprised I pointed it out, as if there's some barrier here. You're clingy? You're clingy? Yeah. Does your partner enjoy that? Well, you know, I don't want to state the obvious. So I'm not gonna. But, sorry to put my happiness around you, but I am in a very loving, very clingy relationship. We're codependent, and I think that's a beautiful thing. We're so codependent. And sometimes we'll just be lying in each other's arms at night, and I'll think to myself, who trapped who? And if you didn't laugh at that, you don't know what love is. That is a love joke. I wrote it for the lovers. So here's the deal, guys. I'm going to play you one more very sad song, and then we can all go home. How does that sound? Okay, cool. But before I play that, I do just want to sincerely thank you all for being here for this weird experiment show. Thank you very much. Thank you. And this is a sort of a love ballad I wrote for my obsessive-compulsive disorder. It's called For Neuroses. I was just a kid when I first flipped my lid, 'cause all the books were taken off my shelf. And there I lay, motionless, trying my best to breathe, 'cause breathing ain't so easy when you want so bad to leave. Wouldn't you know it? Well, I was just 19 when my head swallowed me, 'cause she assured that heathen of her love Thank you guys very, very much. Have a wonderful night. Bye-bye.
Thank you all for coming out. Corey Behringer presents Sad Songs, etc. If you want to stick around for the rest of the evening, talk to John out front. He'll hook you up. Otherwise, thanks for coming out.